Hello there, it's the 26th of May 2020 and here you are with Dan in Essex, UK. So the main purpose of my channel is to show people how to grow their own fruit and vegetables no matter what size garden, allotment or growing space they do indeed have. So, many of you are aware that I'm working on a small to medium sized garden homesteading project here, and I had quite an interesting question on one of my videos the other day talking and asking about my watering program. So I thought I would make a video response on that subject. So many of you will be aware that I've really upped the amount of food I'm growing here, and because of this I'm requiring, or the plants are requiring, more and more water. So my water butts are actually depleted now, so I'm actually on to tap water from an outside tap. So that's how it is. But I'm currently in the process, or going to be in the process, of rigging up more water butts, etc., to harvest more rainwater. But of course these things take time, one has to get around to doing it, etc. So there we are. Now, I don't water using a hose, okay? I always use a watering can. I don't know why, I always feel better using a watering can, and I will show you my watering cans down here. So this is my main one, and that's my other little one there. So this is made by a company called Ward, okay? And I found these very, very good. I've also used them big old galvanized ones in the past, which I found very good. So this is 2.5 gallons. Which is about 13 litres, and they make these in different sizes. So if you want a smaller one, you can get smaller ones, or if you want to use one this size, you can just fill it half or 2/3 up. Now this one here is what I use for watering house plants or things when they're on a windowsill, okay? Really, really good. So say this was on a windowsill, look, you can just sort of, really nice, and it gets to where you want, and you don't get too many splashes. So these are really, really good. And once again, this is Ward as well, so great quality product there. So when I do my watering, I tend to do it relatively late in the day, about 9 o'clock in the evening, okay, at this time of year, because I believe that if you water when it's cooler, the plants have more chance of taking it up, as opposed to a lot of it being lost to evaporation. So 9 o'clock at night, you know, midsummer, late spring, whatever, great time to do it. Now, with regards to watering individual things, so you can see the potatoes here. So I water these about twice, maybe 3 times a week, okay? And I give them a good soaking, all right? Probably about a good 10 seconds or so from that watering can there, and the water comes out at quite a rate because it's a big watering can, you know, per pot. And you can see here that it's doing very, very well, the spuds, the tops, so I'm expecting some good sized tubers from there. Strawberries, I water these every single day, okay, at the moment, as the fruits are swelling, because I want some big strawberries. And if you see this one here, look, it's starting to make a good size there. I picked a lot of the biggest ones today and eaten them, so I can't show you those, but I think you get the idea. So here, citrus. Now, I've got a blood orange and a yuzu here. Now, citrus don't like sitting in overly damp growing medium, so I water these about once every 5 days, okay? And I water them enough to just sort of make the top sort of lightly damp, okay? I don't let them sit in too much water. Of course, I keep an eye on it, but you know, not looking too bad, either of those. Figs actually require quite a bit of water, so I water that probably about 3 times a week. Now the banana, this is intriguing. I've actually been watering this very often, about once every you know, probably about 4 times a week. And the reason I've been doing this is because I remember during the winter period when I had it inside, I had it standing in a saucer, and I kept putting water in and it just kept drinking it. So I really, really kept watering the banana plant, and it seemed to appreciate it. And as you can see, looking quite healthy and doing quite well on that. Now, coffee. These can be tricky, okay? So coffee plants do not want too much watering, okay? And one way I've worked this out is the saucer thing again. You know, put water in the saucer, a few days later it was still there. So, and they don't like sitting in damp growing medium, a bit like citrus really. So don't overwater your coffee plants if you've got them. So the garlic and the onions, they're probably getting watered once every 3 days, something like that. Carrots every other day, giving them a good watering, and you can see that they really, really are starting to come on now. The same here. And the pot-grown nectarine and the pot-grown peach trees here, I'm watering these about 3 times a week because, you know, they do require quite a bit of water. You can see they're putting out a lot of growth at the moment there. Same with this one here. So you can see things like tayberries, raspberries and blackberries. If you've got them growing in the ground, you know, they will benefit from a nice soaking. You know, a whole one of those watering cans maybe once or twice a week could help you get bigger berries, okay? So that could be something you could consider looking into. Blueberries, I water them every day, okay, when they are swelling the fruit size like this, and this plant here is rewarding me, or hopefully going to reward me, with a really heavy crop of blueberries. Now, if you can, although as I've stated, I'm not doing it at the moment, something like blueberries that requires an acidic growing medium, rainwater is best, okay, because tap water tends to be alkaline, non-acidic. So, that's ideal for these anyway, if you can, rainwater. A raised bed such as this, I water heavily twice a week. I really give it a good deep drench, okay? Got spuds in here, potatoes, and I put these in yesterday, some spinach there, and I got some kale, and I gave these a good watering last night, and I got kale, charred spinach in here, and I can literally see the growth just today. So a nice deep watering. Don't just give it a little bit of water, you know, daily. Give it a good deep one, okay? Because this encourages good root growth. So if you do that twice a week, that will reward you with some great crops. Okay, into the food forest polytunnel here. I'm going to be watering this twice a week. Once again, a really heavy drench. Now, of course, because it's in a polytunnel, I may have to review that and maybe up it to 3 or 4 times a week, depending on the weather. Now, you can see the temperature. Now, you see here my grapes are absolutely getting huge. The bunches here of variety Autumn Royal. I didn't water this at all, actually, last year during the drought, even though it's actually, the root of it is in the polytunnel, and it's rewarded me with great crops. So grapes generally can find their own water if they're grown in the ground because they're deep root, they put out deep roots. Now, of course, if the grapevine is immature, maybe water it something like once or twice a week with a good drench. That way, you can hopefully help it establish well. So my cuttings here, these get a daily watering, okay, because you can see, they're in these pots of compost growing medium. There's not a lot of water that they're going to hold in them, so you really need to give them a good bit of daily watering, really, to make sure they establish. So you can see I've got some new ones, like these cuttings here, and of course that growing medium will dry out relatively quickly, particularly when you've got quite a lot of cuttings being taken in one pot. Something like gooseberries, which you can see down here, if you give these a good heavy drenching once or twice a week, once again they should reward you with a really nice decent sized crop. Now these are actually quite small gooseberries here. Part of this will be because the bushes are still small, but also the fact that I've not given them the water that I should. Now this tree here, this is a pear tree. I only planted this in the ground a few weeks ago, probably a month or so ago, maybe 5 weeks, something like that. This will benefit from a good heavy drenching, maybe twice a week in order to help it establish, particularly in its first year. Ginger. So I'm watering this about once a week, okay? Ginger really does not want to be in overly waterlogged growing medium because it will rot if you do that. So there we are. Now, watering is a very intriguing thing, and it varies from where you are in the country and your climate. So certain parts of the UK, if you're further north, you would maybe get plenty of water, more than what we get here in the southeast. So you've got to be prepared to adapt the way that you are watering, depending on the weather. If there's a heat wave, you have to water more, maybe you have to water less. If you've got something like a hydrangea growing in a container or something like that, or indeed something else, and you overwater it, you can actually wash out the nutrients in the growing medium by overwatering. So you may need to adjust your watering. You may cause the plant to take up too much water in one go. Something like tomatoes, for instance, you've got a crop on there and you just give it loads and loads of water in one go, it might suck a load of it up and split the crop. So you might be better off watering a little bit, you know, little and less. If they more, what am I trying to say here? More times but less water each time. So, you know, really be adaptable with it and see what works for you. Okay, right then, there we go. I'm going to end this video now. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and you can always check me out on Dan_Home Gardens if you're interested. See you next time.